Destruction and despair in this Christian neighborhood. These images were filmed 2 days after a Muslim mob attacked the area, looting, burning and destroying everything in their way. The attack happened after 2 Christian brothers were accused of committing blasphemy against the Quran. But even their arrest didn't calm the rioters. No one was injured as all Christian families were able to flee in time, but the magnitude of the damage is significant. Shehzad is still in shock.
The whole house burned down, only ashes remain. All our possessions were destroyed. We can still feel the heat. It's very dangerous to stay here. The roof is collapsing. We've lost everything. There was a bed here. Now there's not even a plate or a glass left for drinking water.
The government promised to compensate all the victims. However, that will not be enough to erase the trauma.
We're in constant fear. Even if we hear a small noise, we're afraid that there'll be another attack. We spent the last 2 days out of town. We were terrified that someone would find out that we were Christians.
Blasphemy accusations in Pakistan often spark violence carried out by raging Muslim crowds.
We fled with our families. If we had stayed, we would have been burned, like they burned our houses. They accused us of blasphemy. But why would we do that? What would that bring us? They just found an excuse to attack us.
On August 16th, more than 80 houses and 19 churches were destroyed in Jallianwala in the province of Punjab. Thousands of Muslims armed with sticks and stones invaded Christian neighborhoods. Rioters used an excavator to destroy the walls of this church and then burned it. They also destroyed and burned down the pastor's house.
Here is the last church service, 2 days before the attack. You can see there were a lot of people. The church was full. People loved this place. These were religious books for children and Bibles. They threw some on the road and burned others inside.
The Christian community represents 2% of the population. They are often targeted by unfounded accusations of blasphemy. This exposes them to violence from radical Islamic groups.
The Christian community is terrified because of this oppression. We have the impression of not belonging to this country and of not being able to practice our religion freely. Today, the Christian community asks for a separate area where we can live amongst ourselves.
125 alleged rioters involved in the Jallianwala violence have been arrested. However, the police are being criticized for their failure to take action on the day of the attacks. The government condemned the actions of the protesters. In the adjacent districts, opinions vary.
They've committed blasphemy. What else should have been done to them? The violence they suffered should serve as a lesson to them. Today, our government supports Christians by saying that what happened to them is wrong. But what about the blasphemy they committed?
If everyone starts committing blasphemy, how can we tolerate that? Every Muslim must defend Islam. Therefore, what the protesters did was right.
What our Muslim brothers have done is wrong. They shouldn't have burned the churches and the houses. If the police had acted in time, it could have been avoided.
As per human rights advocates, the blasphemy law inherited from the colonial British era fosters persecution and bias against religious minorities like Christians.
It's not just the blasphemy law, but the use of the law that has now become a weapon in the hands of those who want to create a religious frenzy in this country, create fear in this country, and then because people have fear of these particular groups, because they've seen the state surrender to them. So how can an individual stand up against them?
Since 2010, hundreds of Christians have been accused of blasphemy, a crime punishable by death, although no death sentence has ever been carried out. There are numerous cases of lynching and extrajudicial killings of the accused.